I guess.
So any law that the government imposes on you must mathematically remove you from that optimum. So when there's no law on you, when you're a free agent, when you're, let's say, on your own on an island, and you do whatever you want, then that is right. Whatever it is you want to do, that is the highest quality of life, right?
Mm,
Assuming you're rational. So you work as much as you want, and you rest as much as you want. You eat as much as you want. You do everything just as much as you want. That is your optimal, right? Given that you're stranded on an island. So that's a given. You're stranded on an island. So, but given that within the limitations of being stranded on an island, okay, I can hear the quality of the audio. It's really very good. Okay, I'm happy. It's a new mic. So, given that you're stranded on an island, so that's not fun, but that's a given. So, within that framework, your highest quality of life, you are now living your optimal life given the constraint. But now let's say we impose a legal system on you on the island. Let's say we impose a legal system on you and we tell you you cannot work as many hours as you want. Let's say you want to work 4 hours a day. Let's say we tell you, no, 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 you have to work 5 hours a day, but you don't feel that you need it. You, you go fishing or you get coconuts or water or fix the hut, whatever. 4 hours a day is plenty. So now that we're forcing you to work 5 hours a day, so that's no longer your optimal life. So we have reduced your quality of life by imposing a legal system on you. Do you agree or do you
mm,
disagree or you don't have an
well, you're
opinion
putting
or
me in the hot seat because I don't know. I don't like debating on these things. I like listening to discussion and
Mhm.
like because whenever I get into a debate, I'm like, I don't know. I just but for all intents and purposes, I'll say I agree.
No, no. No, but the idea of a debate is to understand. A debate, the purpose of a debate is just to understand the other side. That's the
No, the purpose of a debate is to win the debate.
no. That's
Not necessarily.
what
Like
what what do you
if you
gain?
looked at what they were like, for example, like in the presidential debate, like Trump didn't really have any like issues he like really won about, but he sort of won because he was the louder voice and he was able to make more coherent sentences,
Hmm.
like that's what like I feel a debate is. Even like way long ago, Socrates would say there were the sophists, and then later on, like Aristotle himself said, like he hated rhetoric, but you needed to know rhetoric to survive and like go forward in the world.
No,
Um,
that's
so like
incorrect. Who
in my
said this? What was his name?
Aristotle,
Yeah, that's dumb. That's incorrect. I can prove it mathematically. That's an incorrect statement. That's not the purpose of rhetoric. Absolutely not. Absolutely incorrect. The
well, you
purpose of
constantly like think about it in like the workforce. You need to constantly sell yourself, or like as a salesman, you need to sell the product. There's a there's an art to that of
but let's
rhetoric.
say okay, let's assume you're self-sufficient. Let's assume you're a very wealthy guy, you're retired, everything's fine. You don't need anyone's favors, you don't have a boss. Everything's fine. So then you don't need a rhetoric?
Mm,
So, so in my opinion, I can tell you from my experience that that statement is absolutely incorrect. What I have discovered through debating people is that I am getting better and better at sifting the truth from the false for me and for the other guy, for my debate partner. If the debate partner is a truth seeker, then together we can make progress. If the debate partner is a communist or some type of you know um, a believer, someone that is invested in his way of life and he's not looking to change his way of life because his well-being depends on it. So then it's basically impossible to change his mind. And then it's useless. Rhetoric is useless. You can use rhetoric to still figure out what's motivating the other guy. Why is he not submitting to the truth? Not to me, to the truth. You could use rhetoric to figure things out, to to find out the truth. It's not just for survival. It's not just for practical, for financial gain. It's for figuring out the truth. If someone, if your opponent says something, it sounds wrong, but without rhetoric, without the tools, without uh, good debating tools, you can't. You're going to have a very hard time understanding, converting this intuition that he's lying or that he's wrong into some mathematical proof that he's lying or he's wrong. So
I don't see why you would agree with Aristotle then, because he's kind of saying the same thing as you.
he's saying the same thing as me?
Well, he's saying, well, maybe not on the part where, he says he doesn't like it, but he ultimately says,
Hmm.
you need rhetoric to sort of arrive at maybe not the truth as you see it, and so you can like his ethics is basically, I don't know, I think it's to like be happy sorta, but also within like some guideline of like some ethical guideline, which implies like, because everything he says is spiritual and on the ground, and that's what the Islamists kind of took away from Aristotle. So what he wants to take from that is, you kind of need to assert yourself spiritually and debate your truth. And I think in his mind there is no such thing as a complete truth like you're getting at, which I remember you saying you believed in Karl Popper. Well, he didn't really believe in like empirical truths either. He believed we should search for them and get at them, but like sort of like Aristotle, you have to kind of like believe what's in front of you and what's on the ground.
Hmm. Okay, so it sounds like I might agree with Aristotle on some of his ideas. That's fine. I don't really, I don't, honestly, I don't care who said what. I mean, Popper is, I like Popper very much. When I heard Popper, it blew my mind. And finally, it made so much sense because Popper says that science is so simple. Science is almost a religion, it's a cult, it's a mythology. So when I first heard,
Okay.
hello, Minnie. So when I first heard Popper, I was just it was like my brain settled. Finally, my brain started settling because finally I began to understand the scientific method. And so Popper, I appreciate, but I don't think I ever heard anything from Aristotle that blew my mind, that settled my mind, that interested me. I don't think I don't think I've like there's very few people that said something interesting that I didn't figure out on my own. But I'm
Let's
not
go
saying
there.
nothing where uh, we're discussing what I call debate theory. What is a debate? Is is a debate like is it good or is it a useful tool? Should you debate? Should you
Well, in
never
debate
debate?
competitions, they teach you to like debate both sides. And it's not necessarily about whether you agree with or even going to the truth. It's about, again, being the most convincing. And sometimes being the most convincing isn't even like correct. It might not even be like the most objective good or whatever you
Um,
want to call it.
I would disagree with that. I mean, I will have like a more I wouldn't say traditional, but more oriented to the classic idea of a debate being a dialectic process. You know, like you have
So
this
from like the
point, have
1700s.
yeah, like you have this point, I have this point. Let's go down to the matter and see if either of our points it's more appropriate than the other, or if both are wrong.
I think what is it? Like okay, so like the dialectic comes from like Hegel's ideas of like forming like
Not
like
quite. I mean, the dialectic was established in ancient Greek as literally as a method of debating. But of course,
Hegel
yeah. I mean,
extracted that from them. But even then during that time they didn't really like there were camps that did not like the sophists and the debaters. They thought they
more.
didn't arrive to the truth. They would arrive at, you know, defending their views, which might be wrong for all we know.
Oh yeah, but well, I mean, that's another thing. From a philosophical point of view, I might consider that truth, epistemologically speaking, it's something that is always developing, not quite being uncovered or discovered, but being developing the more knowledge we acquire from practice. In
He-
simple words, empiricism.
Hegel never thought that. He just thought like we just like go up and down and just
Oh
it's like
yeah, yeah.
a sine function. Like we never like the truth is just like something we like grasp at and like once we think we have it, it's like air in our hands.
Yeah, yeah, I'm aware that that's commonly a sort of. I would dare to say that nowadays it's a traditional view. The idea that truth is something that well we try to discover, we try to reach on a metaphysical level, to say so. But I'm not so fond of that idea. I would consider that truth. It's something that is when this might sound controversial, but give me a second to explain. I say truth is something that is produced, right? But when I say produce, I do not mean that people agree or kind of create truth in the sense that they consciously create truth, but more so in an empirical sense. When you interact with reality, all right, that interaction with reality, you give shape to what's useful to society overall, and that's truth. Not you as an individual, but as a sort of collective empiricism. I will argue that epistemologically speaking, that's how we develop truth.
I think you would like Hegel very much.
So,
Well,
y-
yeah, I mean, um,
like
Hello,
objective reality.
the Emperor of
yeah, I do
Masculinity,
defend the idea
or
100% that there is an
Dhruva
objective reality, that
Maharaja.
reality is
Oh,
subjective,
you're
not
Indian.
subjective. But the thing is
I'm
that I
okay.
consider that
Why don't you
reality
join
being
us
objective,
on Discord?
it
You
has
have the
no
link. Here's the
contradiction with
link.
it being relative. Reality is
What's
relative
the
to
first
how do
message?
we interact with things.
I don't know you. Who
That
are
is
you?
not to say that it is not objective.
Hegel thought, well, this is where you probably would disagree with Hegel. He thought like
It
the
doesn't
ultimate
matter.
nature of
I don't know
reality, like you
Hegel.
can't know it, and it's just spiritual. And
Yeah, I'm
there's
aware.
no sense
Um,
to it. It's
do we
just
know each other? I don't remember you.
purely spiritual, and we derive meaning from it, and from that we get
Yeah,
like
Oh, join
purpose
us.
and like live our lives.
Yeah,
yeah,
that sounds
I'm aware
super.
that's the point of Hegel.
So
Should we try to win debates, or should we try and like go to like a proof
I would
if there
consider
even is?
that some debates are, I mean, yeah, I would consider some debates are simply meaningless. Why? Because there is, you see, to say so, the only things that are not disputed, the only things that are not debated about, are the things that do not have any opposition to someone's interests. The only reason why we do not debate about 1 + 1 being equal to 2 is because it has no opposition to anybody's interests. There are so many other things that have a position, such we debate them because there are different interests in society. So many of those things, the things that have those clash of interests, I would consider that there is no point in so much of debating them, but more so in understanding where do they come from. Because of course, at the end of the day, if clash of interest is there and it's going to be there, there is no point because one side's never going to acknowledge what the other side is saying because they have a different position on the matter, a whole I will not say an ontological position, but I say like a whole structural different position from the ground up.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
wait, could somebody bring me up to speed? I was chatting with my YouTube audience. So what are we talking about? What's the
You have a
conclusion thus
YouTube
far?
audience?
Like, if there's like
should-
objective
shit.
truth, and should we pursue it? I guess.
No.
Well, awesome. Now, what a great philosophical question.
Wait, so
I
the
love
que-
talking about objective truth if it's outside of myself or not. I just love talking about this day in and day out. Do I really exist? Do
Don't
you
think about it
exist?
too much. Don't think about it.
Do you exist? Do I exist? When you break into my house and you smack my head against my own refrigerator, is that real?
define real. But the question, I mean, we've discussed this many times. Today,
see where I'm getting at? Like, this is dumb.
I will argue, is it talking about that? That sort of touching the idea of solipsism. And I will argue that the main thing that takes solipsism down is the fact that logic exists.
Nothing takes solipsism down.
No, that's the thing. Let me explain.
You Max
The
Stern.
fact that logic exists takes solipsism down. Why?
No, it
Because
doesn't.
logic is nothing more. You see, logic, it's nothing more than an idea that helps us to organize two different points of view, two or more points of view.
What's
There
your
is
conception
logic.
of solipsism? Yeah, but like, yeah, sure. I got your conception on one end. Let me see your conception of solipsism. Like, what's your conception of that? What do you think it is?
So solipsism simply is the idea that there is just but one consciousness with one point of view when it comes to reality. The reality lies all inside that single point of view, that single consciousness.
In this single consciousness, okay. It's not necessarily that, but yes, in particular, it can be placed as such. Right now, there's a more rigid definition distinction for it, but sure, we'll run with that. This actually, now from this, how do you think you can get outside of this closed loop? Because it seems to be a closed loop. That's what we discussed. It's a closed system. It's a closed loop. How do we get out of this closed loop? This closed system. For example, everything that I touch, taste, see, and smell is a reconstruction of my personal nervous system. However, my nervous system chooses to reconstruct it. When I look at an object, right, I'm not apprehending it instantly. It's non-simultaneous. It first has to be reconstructed by my entire nervous system. Then I perceive the said things. Also, too, there's unconscious tendencies in the background. So, like, as soon as we start looking at our phenomena and how it works, there's actually much more here. Then how do we get past this?
But I have a question. When you talk about a reconstruction, let's go down to the matter. Would you consider yourself on that position as a monist or a dualist?
I would be a monist for sure.
See, I'm a monist
One
too.
substance.
What's a monist?
I wouldn't say it's a reconstruction. I would say more so that it's simply the how would I say, it's the duality of phenomena. So I consider that phenomena are dual. The fact that you have an objective and a subjective side to all phenomena. I'm going to give you a very quick example. The sun. All right. If I ask anybody that has sight, go outside and look up and tell me what do they see, what do you see in a specific?
But I don't think that's a distinction with phenomena itself. I think that's a distinction with your perception of phenomena, and that's where the distinction lies when you make that
No,
distinction
but
of subjective
that's
and
the thing.
objective. When you make the distinction
no.
of subjective and objective, the distinction lies with the internal, the inner, not the outer. There, so it comes down to perception of phenomena rather than the phenomena itself. You know, that's like
No,
simple
that's the thing.
Kant.
You see, the definition that I have simple of what it means to be subjective and what it means to be objective. Well, something is subjective, it can only be validated by an individual, by individual validation. What does that mean? It means that in this case, for example, your feelings are something subjective because only you can validate those such feelings. All right. Your perception, only you can validate your perception because only you are aware of that. And I cannot, whatever I can try to do, I cannot directly have any kind of validation of that. And the objective is simply anything that can be validated by anybody, regardless of who that particular person might be. That is the definition of objective in this case. So I will argue that all phenomena have that objective and subjective point to them. It's sort of in the same manner that light can behave both as a wave and a
I
particle.
don't think it's I don't think it's the phenomena itself that expresses this, more so the perception of the individual, or aka the subject and not the object. That
No,
has
but
this
that's the thing.
distinction. It's not it doesn't lie
For
within the
example.
phenomena, but sure, what?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's my personal take. Well, I don't think
Let's see.
distinctions lie outside of oneself. Distinctions lie only internally.
Oh, that's the thing. I don't consider that it has anything to do neither to it's outside of oneself to the internal, but it's more so of the process of how do we interact, or as in this case, the individual interacts and the collective interacts, because that's in the end what it is. The individual interaction it goes inside that subjective, and the collective interaction goes inside that objective.
Yeah,
So,
but like, who's viewing the collective at all times? Like you say that this collective exists, right? Who's viewing the collective at all times? It's always the regular subjective individual, rather than the always viewing the collective. It's always this perception rather than anything else.
No, but you see, I will argue that the collective has the qualities, of course, of a system. It's emergence in nature, and in this case, I will argue that the collective is qualitatively different from the individuals who might argue that make it up. You know, in simple words, the whole is greater than some of its parts. So the behavior that we might see, and not only the behavior, but the qualities that we might see in the collective, when we talk about the collective, a society as a whole, it has more qualities and more characteristics to itself than it will have all the individuals that made up society, sum up one by one.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think the distinctions throughout society actually match up to distinctions that individuals make internally, with internal distinctions. Like how we fragment society.
The example I was going to make
is a correlation of how we match up to. Like, it is corollary. I would agree with that, but I don't think it's directly a one-to-one.
No, that's the thing. I would not say that it correlates, but that it's just with one thing. It is one
I think
thing.
there's a correlation. I would go as far to say there's a correlation, not to say causation by any stretch of the imagination, but correlation. Yeah, I think it's pretty.
But I will say in this case that instead of that, it would be just one thing. It is just with one thing, and that's what I was going to say with the example of the sun. You see, if I tell anybody to go outside and look up, and tell them if you have sight, I tell you, hey, what do you see? And you may say, well, I see. We describing it as crudely as possible. You say, well, I see a shining ball, a shining sphere. If you have a more of a three-dimensional point of view to that. Beyond that, that's all you can perceive directly. And if we go to the objective definition of what the sun is, you see, well, the sun is a mass of fusing hydrogen millions of kilometers away from Earth, that it's constantly in a process of fusion, blah, 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 blah. So where do we close the gap between these two? I will argue that the way that we close the gap is that the perception you might have of the sun, that individual, that subjective perception of the sun being just this shining ball in the sky, it is in fact all the experience that you can individually gather about the sun. The objective definition of the sun is that it's what happens when you synthesize the experience not only of all people today, on all fields, on our practice, but the experience accumulated around history on that same phenomenon. So it's just
But that was-
one thing.
Okay, then you're just making it like grand scale intersubjectivity, and that's what you define objectivity to be. But this will never be reached, I think, in my opinion.
Wait,
This
guys,
ideal.
guys, we can discuss objective and subjective, but actually, the discussion started. I have something that is really bothering me, and me and ex Karakala, we were discussing this. So the question was, like, is debate a good thing? What should a debate be? Should we debate, or should we?
I like to contrast like debate with discussion. I think
Mhm.
these
I
things
will
are
argue,
completely different from one another. Dialectic is more performative, in my opinion. It's trying to get to truth. Yes, that's its natural component, but you can say like it is its job to synthesize over time, to wait and synthesize over time through skepticism, but like Pyrrhonian skepticism, or a contrary or an antithesis or antithetical force. This has a lot of production to it, production value, like debates in general in this regard. But debates do have rhetoric. Rhetoric is persuasive mostly. It's the art of rhetoric is the art of being persuasive, the art of sort of being right. And there's so many debate tactics you can use to get people on your side. It's ridiculous. If you actually study the nuances of this and how to do it, then you're going to be very lethal. But that's not a way to truth, is it? Like just persuading somebody is not a way to truth, because you can persuade people to bad things.
Right. So
I will argue that
I can give you a syllogism why baby murder during certain contexts is actually okay, or how race realism, or how like race realism should be like a go-to depending on like the goal.
then I suggest
I
if
will
you
argue.
can, let me just say, if you can debate a point, such as those that you said about whatever, like that that society has rejected, if you can argue for these points, then it's truth. Then society is wrong. So I think debate and logic are very powerful, and we should. I mean, if you go to the dark side and you become a dark lord of debates, yeah, fine. You're
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because you can use logic to dismantle and kind of resurrect certain things. You can use logic to destroy. Like I can use Pyrrhonian skepticism in order to dismantle my opponent. I really can. Or I can hit him with like the Socratean questions intensely. That's really going to get him. Keep
Right,
asking the question why until he crumbles.
Right, but the question is, have you gone to the dark side? So I mean, people can go to the dark side in all different types of ways, but let's not discredit the tool. So rhetoric and debate and logic are tools to, figure out.
I wouldn't discuss that.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that's being too pragmatic with like what logic actually is, right? I think logic is kind of a window into the inner mechanistic forces of reality. Like I call them mechanistic just to be kosher about it, but I don't know if they're truly mechanistic within their nature. I think logic is one of these things. It seems to be multifaceted, applied in every single category that I can think of in the sciences, at least. has produced so much. Its production value is ridiculous. Number one production value, that's for sure, out of any single thing I can think of.
Right. So, I mean, in my experience,
Combine logic with emotion, then it becomes very powerful. Combine logic with just the regular material world, right? Then it becomes incredibly powerful. We make PCs out of it. Combine logic with let's combine it with something else. I don't know.
right.
So we start combining it with other things. It starts yielding amazing results. Usually, results as in things that can be applied.
Right, but the fact that it gives us pleasure should not confuse us with the truth. The fact, unless you define truth as pleasure, and that's, I mean, and then you really need to. Anyway, in my experience, so a lot of times after I debate, then I start walking around and talking to myself, continuing the debate in my head,
Oh,
and
for sure, everybody does this.
yeah, but many times I have gone down rabbit holes that it's
Yeah.
it's a little bit difficult to do it in a real debate, but by yourself you can debate yourself really fast. It's like super fast, and I realize many interesting things, and then I go back to debating people, and then I can try and convince them of these ideas. And sometimes I'm able to, other times people
Yeah, you
object.
do a little quick dialectic in your head. And you kind of map out the setting or the landscape of the idea. And once you map out the landscape, you try out the landscape on somebody else.
Right.
It's kind of like a D&D camp. Imagine like you're a guy that makes maps for D&D campaigns for people. That's kind of what you're doing,
Okay.
but with
what's
an idea.
Right. But what's amazing is then I use the debate in order to stress test my new realization, my new revelation. And sometimes I win, quote unquote, a debate, and I feel that this new realization has been validated, and then I stress test it again and again, and I maybe become a little bit more complacent with it, and then I meet a super debater, and he eviscerates this idea like out of the blue. And so I think debating is really important just for self-discovery and truth discovery. I
I think
think
it's performative as well, though, too. Like where you can obfuscate the issues or the holes that you have. You can really start to obfuscate this. You really can. Like
sure, of course. I mean,
like
I could,
you can be the most lethal debater
yes,
you've ever come across, right? If
Yes.
just know Sith Lord tactics,
Yes.
like fallacies. There are fallacies that exist that are non-linguistic that people cannot call you out on ever.
yes,
You can
So-
always double track and double back.
yes, and
So
there are
like be
yes.
careful. Yeah, like these are like the Horcrux. Like what do you call these? Like the Avada-Kedavras, the curse spells in Harry Potter.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So
These are the non-linguistic fallacies of the
Yes.
accent, for example. They can never call you out on ever. Just get down fallacies with you can always double back. You can always do
Yes.
this. This is always the case.
Have you
Yes.
guys seen Charlie Kirk? Like he's able to debate in such a way where like even if you respond, you kind of fall into his trap.
Yeah.
So that's what I think you mean.
But
there.
he doesn't debate. He doesn't come to Discord. He goes to university campuses and he talks to not people not like us. He doesn't talk to debate proficients and masters. So I think against a debate master, he wouldn't look as good. He would look maybe average, maybe below
Yeah.
average.
He said he would debate masters and PhD students, but I haven't seen like a single video of him doing that. He mostly just debates like idiot college students. And he
But
just
even-
says,
Usually you go the charisma route. Like usually for like a doctor, because I've talked to a lot of doctors and lawyers before. I usually go my charisma route with them. That's
Yeah.
the best way because they're obviously going to beat me on a certain skill. On a certain skill, they got my ass. Obviously, a lawyer's gonna
surprised.
whoop my ass when it comes to propositional logic. Hopefully, at least if he's a
Not
good fucking lawyer. If not,
They try and bring you into like their area of specialty. Like you can dance around them. Like it's possible.
oh,
I'm
you
not saying
can.
you should.
I'll dance like a damn clown. I like it.
No.
I'll just give him like dodge these insults. You know,
no,
it's like, oh, your
no,
degree was kind of shit.
no. In my experience, even litigating lawyers are not proficient debaters. Think of how many debate hours each one of us has. Compare
Oh
it to
yeah,
how
that's
many.
fucking ridiculous. Yeah.
I mean,
5.
compare it to litigating lawyers. How many hours of litigation do they have under their belts? Not that many. Who are they debating
But
against?
they
What?
but they don't have to necessarily debate in the purest forms of debating.
Hey,
order
these
to do
guys
their
have a
job
job.
correctly.
Most Discord guys, yeah, these guys have an
Yeah.
occupation and a job. Most Discord guys that debate online don't. So,
Right.
Discord guys winning right now with the amount of hours putting in.
Right. So I think Discord debaters currently are the highest level of grandmasters ever in history. I think
Across many
we
different languages too, across many different regions.
Yeah. I think even Aristotle and those guys didn't debate as
I
much
don't
as we
debate
do.
Marco. Yeah. Marco's really good when it comes, like, because Marco he's a foreigner, like relative to me, of course. I call him a foreigner because I'm in the promised land of the United States of America. But like, yeah, dude, he's pretty amazing at fucking English, knows multiple different languages, and like he's amazing at philosophy. Like I
Mhm.
consider him pretty decent at philosophy. So,
Mhm.
Then they hit us
No.
with the touch grass, and then it all crumbles.
But my
yeah,
point,
exactly.
no, but my
you
point,
get mobbed in real life. Like, show me your face, retard.
but my point is that I don't care for winning. I mean, I honestly I find it boring. I'm not interested in winning. Like I can win if I
This
mean,
is where it becomes, like I said, performative. This is where I said debates are really performative. It's
Like-
for sport, you know.
I don't do it for
It's
sport.
intellectual sport.
I try to avoid. I try
It's
to
offense and defense, like fencing. Think of like fencing, intellectual
Yeah,
fencing. Like I'm gonna use fallacies offensively, but I'm gonna call you out on your fallacies within like a Latin tongue. I'll be like, oh, you're just committing the blah blah blah. Oh, this is this, and here's how it matches up as to why you're doing this. Mayday. From your example that you just gave me, this is how you're doing this. I'll use fallacies offensively and defensively. I'll
Right.
be like a deconstructionalist. I'll deconstruct your points. So, like you can be such a reductionist to the point where you can be such a dick, dude. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I find
Oh my.
I find that honestly boring. I'm not interested in that at all. I'm interested in
Now that's where it becomes performative. It's more performative in a sense of like, I'm gonna absolutely dismantle somebody's argumentation immediately. I'll sink the ship that both of us are sailing on.
right. So I'm not into that.
Putting limits and halts, like for example, I would stop at like everything's a reconstruction of our personal nervous systems. You can just like stop at this point, because
Right.
then that just ruins all of their metaphysical inquiries and everything like that.
So I think that is what when people say I don't want to debate, it's because the best debaters end up as dark lords.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's also too like the guys that can that do have a sense of emotion, right? They do have a sense of emotion when they convey whatever words that they're saying. I think that
Like
does help.
Like I was listening to Destiny analyze the debate between Smith and the guy from Modern Day Debate, Andrew Wilson. Andrew Wilson against the chief libertarian, Dave Smith. Did you see that?
Dave Chappelle? Is
No,
that a
no,
great
no.
debater?
Dave Smith. Dave Smith is the chief of the Libertarian Party. He's actually, a politician. He's like an ex-comedian. Anyway, so he was debating Andrew Wilson. You know Andrew Wilson from The Crucible?
Andrew Tate?
No. Wait, you don't know these guys?
Sorry, go ahead.
Do you know? So you guys don't know
I-
these people? You don't know? Do you know Destiny? Does
You're more
anybody?
American, dude. You're more.
I
Oh,
I know about
that.
Destiny because he's like mega famous
I heard
on
about Destiny
YouTube.
before. Like,
Yeah.
like my Jewish friends showed me about him. Showed me like a lot of his videos. I remember I
know-
hopped onto like an atheist server. I remember I hopped into an atheist server. It turned out to be Destiny's, I guess. I'm like, oh, where?
Yeah, I was kicked out of Destiny server. Anyway, so Destiny, so he was reviewing this debate, and David Smith said, let's use the dictionary for a definition of whatever, who remembers, capitalism or something. Ownership. So Destiny stopped the review and just went berserk. How dumb can you be to reference a dictionary? Wait, is he gone? Oh,
The guy you were talking to?
yeah,
No, I'm still here.
no, but the other guy. Anyway, so
Maybe his internet like cut off.
I probably I don't know.
Yeah, he wouldn't just leave like that.
No, it's okay. Anyway, so the question is, so a lot of people, when I was speaking in the beginning with ex Colin, I told him let's debate, and he said no, I don't want to debate. So so debates have a bad reputation because because a lot of great debaters are evil people, and they just try to win. Like Andrew Wilson, he just tries to
Or
win.
politicians.
Yeah,
Call 'em
yeah.
politicians.
Yeah, but people that have like an interest in winning. Like I don't have an interest in winning. My only interest is to search for the truth. I don't care otherwise for anything. Who cares? So, like when I debate vegans, I really want to know: do they have a point, or are they?
Yeah, but it
Mhm.
depends because some people debate as a hobby. Like some people debate for the sake of debating, just like how they go to debate clubs and stuff
Oh.
like that.
Something
Right.
interesting I just read. I'll let you continue, then I'll talk.
No, you can go.
Okay. So, well, if you talk first on principles or starting points, it's no longer a dialectic or rhetoric, but it's rather what principles each person has. So
I don't.
sometimes you never even get to like a debating point. You just sort of debate like, okay, this is my scientific view, this is your scientific view, and like it's convoluted. You get what I'm saying? Like it could be very
No,
convoluted to the point where
no, I don't.
like what's the argument? Like, okay, maybe everyone sees the sun as yellow, but for whatever reason you see it as red. But
Okay.
like yellow to you is red and red to you is yellow. That's a very bad example, but it's like
That's actually
have you heard
something.
of the two wise trees argument?
No.
Two wise trees meet in the forest and they're both from like different parts of the land. The
Mhm.
only thing that would tie them together is they both agree that things are more similar than they are different. And for
Mhm.
that reason they are wise.
I don't understand.
So like even in like debate or rhetoric, you kind of have to go on good faith. Otherwise, you just don't get to any conclusion. It's just sort of like, okay, this is my view, this is your view. All right, nice, nice, and then you go your ways.
Look, you have to
But like,
assume the other guy is good faith. If you don't assume the other guy is good faith, you might conclude that he's trying to foil the debate, and then you might be missing out on whatever truth he wanted to impart to you. So many times I'm
that or you're a
accused.
giant asshole.
I'm accused of being a giant asshole, of a troll, of whatever, and I'm just, I'm being as honest as I can, and it's hopeless. It's hopeless. I mean, especially with vegans, I go vegans or communists, people that disagree with me like on the fundamentals. It's impossible. They just assume bad faith. They're just assuming that I'm a troll. Oh, there's no way this guy is real. Oh, this guy, or even worse things, or they threaten to kill me. So
Hell yeah, dude.
That's no good.
yeah,
It's no good at all.
yeah. I mean,
It's the
I
best debating strategy.
yeah,
Most
yeah.
effective. How to win a debate.
I had a guy. We were discussing the age of concert, and people get very offended. How dare you discuss the age of concert? You must be, a very evil person. And I'm coming
Wait,
over to your house. What?
the age of consent? You
Yeah,
mean?
but I don't want to say it
Okay.
because
Oh,
it's that
like
dangerous. It's that dangerous. It's lethal. There's people watching my channel just to see if I bring the topic up. And if I do,
oh,
yeah, and if I do, so there's this other big channel that he's one of my friends. So he told me that every time I bring it up, they make clips and they accuse her, my friend with the big channel, they accuse her of being
mhm.
my friend, and therefore she's also worse than Hitler. Anyway, yeah, and so that's the world we live in. So, but I think it doesn't matter. Look, some people use self-defense to kill people. Some people use guns to kill people, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't have a gun to defend ourselves. That is stupid. Like some people say, "Oh, guns are dangerous. Guns kill, therefore I'm going to give my gun away. Therefore we shouldn't have guns." No, that's dumb. That is dumb. So because some people use debates in order to score points and win and literally spread lies. So that
Mhm.
we should not um therefore think of that is the inherent issue of the debate, that we should refrain from debating because debates are just this, basically as bad as guns. They're just used to hurt and spread lies and hurt people just for the win. What's your opinion?
Yeah. I
So like when I come to Discord, I'm always debating. Like when somebody says, "Yeah, I just want to have a discussion," fine, but I'm always debating. I'm always stress testing ideas and stress testing the other side's claims and evidence. What do you think, X Karakala? How do you pronounce your name? X Karakala? X
I
Kara.
don't know. I
Well,
think it's Karakala or something. I don't know.
oh, okay. Is that the name of a cat?
No, it's the name of a.
It's his
I
name.
needed a name for my Steam, and I looked up a list of Roman emperors and picked Caracalla. That
Oh,
sounded.
so
I think
what's
it
the
was.
X?
I don't know. Like I guess his signature. I don't know. I really don't know.
His name was X Karakala?
No, his name was just Caracalla.
I see.
He had an interesting life. He was elected to the throne, and then one of his troops killed him. Yeah.
That's it?
Pretty much. He died pretty young. He died like 25 or something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Next topic. What do you guys want to talk about? Caracalla, what are you an expert at? What's your expertise?
I am not an expert at anything. Let me
You-
check. Yeah, I am not an expert at anything.
I don't believe that. Everyone is an expert at something.
I like
That is
history.
true.
You like history. There you go. Okay. What are you an expert in history? Like what period, what person, what events?
I try to study the classics and also U.S. history.
Whoa,
Um,
US history. So the Civil War?
um, mostly the progressive era.
What years is that?
It's like 1880 to like 1920 or something.
Why is it called the Progressive Era?
So that's when they got very progressive and they started implementing progressive ideals and traits. Like what's something they did. Uh,
Like what?
they I don't know, man.
No, just give
Again,
me
like I
one
said, I'm not an
ideal that they
expert.
implemented.
Uh,
Like I know that in 1913 or something, that's the income tax. That's when they passed the income tax law. Before then, they didn't have income tax. And the income tax was just tax the rich. It was literally taxing just the billionaires. It's just the top 5% of income earners. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. But they didn't attach it to inflation. So whatever the number was, sooner or later, it got all of us. It's like now you make, I don't know, $1,000 a year, so you have to pay income tax or whatever, and that I guess that whatever the number they put in the law, they never changed it. So so now it gets everyone because of inflation. It's getting everyone. Anyway, but so what are you an expert at? Give me like one event. Name your favorite event in history that you're an expert at.
Nothing.
No.
I am a pseudo intellectual. I like to read some classics and I pretend to understand them, but even then, not really. Like, I mainly try to extract the art of rhetoric from them and see what they were trying to do, like based on like individual characters. Even though I don't agree that like history is like individual driven, some people think that's the case. I think it's more like mass events and stuff.
Good.
Uh,
We can debate that. So you have a historical theory. You have a theory of what drives history.
yes.
Perfect. I also have a theory of what drives history.
And okay.
So we could debate it. So what do you think drives history?
Um, Mostly
Time.
like well, technology. Like that's a big one. Whenever some new form of
Conflicts.
technology comes out that has a large influence on how people like interact with the world. But like history is kind of like loaded because like it's an art ultimately and you never know what exactly went on during that time. So although we can point and be like, okay, because of the printing press, we don't know like what individual things uh and whatever happened to uh cause the next chapter or whatever.
Mhm. So if I ask you to make a prediction for the future based on your theory, right? We stress test it using the scientific method. We stress test a theory by demanding that the theory make a prediction, and then we wait for the prediction to come true, or we go test it, or we go test the prediction. So, can you make a prediction?
Well, the big thing that happened was Goldman pulled out of Apple and they gave like a Like it's funny calling it that, but they gave like a manifesto as to why, and they basically said, well, AI is just pointless right now. So I don't know if there's gonna be uh like if we were to test something, it would be whether AI is ever going to be something that's useful and beyond like text summaries and uh AI generation.
Okay. So you think history is technology driven?
Yeah,
So
I might be a Marxist.
you might be
So I
a
know.
Marx. A what?
Yeah, Marxists believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, they believe like technology influences like the flow of history, and the workers must constantly like fight to get their share after in this era it's like there's like pockets of there's like pyramids, I guess, like pyramid schemes go on. I don't know what they said. I forgot. I was in a server with these guys who were very fond of Marx and Hegel, but I
Mhm.
forgot everything they said.
Mhm. I think Marx is a prophet, at least in his eyes. I mean, he speaks like a prophet, the way he expresses himself in his writings. So his prophecy is that basically, I think communism will take over the world. That first there
Seems
was
loony. Seems loony. But
no, I agree, I
whatever.
completely agree with him, but he, I mean, he didn't have a theory behind the prediction, so his prediction is a guess. But unfortunately, I can mathematically prove his prediction. So
How?
yeah, we're definitely in trouble. There's no question about that. I mean, a good percent of all my videos, I discuss this issue. I mean, we are hopeless. The Marxists will end up taking over and destroying civilization, as they keep saying they will do. They will dismantle everything. And in the long run, society will. I mean, we're going to devolve into a North Korea type style dictatorship. And it will probably shrink and shrivel until there's nothing. And this will happen to every alien civilization and to every artificial intelligence civilization. This is the fate of all intelligence. All intelligence get consumed by Marxism. Marxism is the cancer that destroys every civilization in all the multiverses, in all the multiverse, in the entire multiverse.
Mhm.
So, so Marx was right. He didn't know why. He had no idea. But when you talk to Marxists, this is what they tell you. They tell you clearly their intentions. These are their intentions. The only way you can stop them is by nuking the planet. So the only way to stop them is to run away from this planet in actual spaceships and nuke the planet, because they will chase you, they will hunt you down, they will destroy everyone that tries to run away, just like North Korea. They don't let anyone run away. There's no such thing. Just like every communist regime, they never let anyone run away. There's no such thing. You cannot escape. They will not let you. So the only chance of survival is if you escape and nuke the planet from orbit. Otherwise, they will hunt you down and they will definitely destroy you. So even a nuclear bomb powered 10% the speed of light spaceship, they can easily trace the radiation and send nanobots after you. A single nanobot will land on your ship and will start dismantling it, reproducing, and they'll destroy you. I mean, they'll find ways. They will find you and they will destroy you. So that's the way I see it. So, but Marx didn't know. I mean, when you
will
asked,
find you.
excuse me,
That will kill you. Also, I'm
Yeah.
just referencing the saying from that movie. That will find you and I will kill you.
I mean, it's a line from The Matrix: "Find them and destroy them." That Ancient Smith said towards the end of the movie. Yeah, but I was just speaking to a Marxist yesterday, and I mean, he said, I mean, we will take over the visible universe, and any alien civilization that is not communist, we will take it over and make it communist. We will not allow any non-communists to live in this in the visible universe.
Mhm.
I mean, that's it. I mean, that's what that is. And he thinks that he's the good guy. He thinks that capitalism is evil and allowing people to interact freely, that's evil because people are exploiting each other. And it's his job to stop this mutual exploitation. And if need be, they will kill anyone that exploits because that's evil. You're a capitalist pig. So there's an asymmetry. So the capitalists, they are pro freedom. So they say let anyone do whatever they want. But the communists are anti freedom and they say, we'll kill you if you don't do exactly what I want. So there is an asymmetry. Of course, the communists in every conflict are going to win. In the long term, of course, the communists are going to win. When two sides, one says, I will never use force, and the other guy says, I will never not use force. Of course, the communists are always going to win, especially in the long run. And this has nothing to do with humanity. This is not Marx. This is an asymmetry built into the very fabric of reality. So this is just a result of intelligence. Intelligence creates this game theoretic scenario. That's my intuition. And we see that there are no aliens. So that explains why we look up to the skies and it's completely dark, just like North Korea is completely dark. Because all the alien civilizations are North Korea. What do you think?
Yeah. Possibly. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, I mean, when but once you meet a person like this, I mean, look, if any civilization has people like this that say, we will use force to implement our philosophy. And our philosophy is to use force to implement our philosophy. And you have the other extreme that they say, we believe in freedom. So obviously, we're never going to use force to implement our philosophy. So, in any civilization, once these two ideas are created, of course, the violent one will take over. So, all you need is a quantum fluctuation to create a more violent version of any person, a person that believes in this. And that's it. That civilization is doomed. Because this idea, it's Darwinistically, what do you call it? Like when a fish takes over an environment, when a certain species,
Fishy.
no, a certain species
Something
invades,
seems fishy.
no, a species invades a new environment and takes it over. Like like sometimes you have a new bird come into the neighborhood. Like in my, I'm traveling now, so in this country where I'm at, there are these beautiful birds, like
Oh,
green.
like immigration?
No, but there's this new green birds, and these birds, they go to all the other birds' nests, and they just eat the eggs. So they out,
Oh, like,
so they, oh, it's an invasive species. So communism,
oh, okay, okay.
communism is an
Yeah.
invasive philosophy. So Darwinistically, it always will outbreed and out survive any other idea. It's
Why? Because, like, if it's fundamental values,
no, because it says we will use force to
yeah,
implement.
that's what I said. Like, their values, like using force and
Right. So
violence.
right, we will use violence to take over. We will use violence to take over. While the other guys say we will not use violence to take over. So who's going to take over? I mean, there's like zero question about it. I mean, why isn't anyone doing anything about North Korea? Right?
I mean, we have done a lot of things about North Korea.
This guy, this one guy, Kim Jong-un, he's holding an entire country hostage. Why isn't anyone standing up to him? I mean,
Oh,
this
like
is
from within the country.
no on the planet.
Well, let me ask you, why would they?
I mean, that's like
I
asking
mean,
why did
a lot of countries stood up to North Korea and just basically just completely isolated it from the global economy. So we've done enough so that we're not as impacted by North Korea, if anything. Obviously, there's still the risk of North Korea just full on going batshit insane and starting wars, but I don't know what you can do about that. What are we gonna do? Wipe it off the face of Earth?
right? So that's a good question, but I mean, we went to war against Hitler. So are you telling me that if Hitler would
Hitler
have
was invading countries.
right? So are you telling me that that was his mistake? That Hitler, as long
No,
as he, so you're saying, well, Hitler, if he didn't invade other countries, it's fine that he murdered all these
no,
millions.
I'm not saying it's fine.
No. I'm not judging you. I'm
Yeah,
judging.
like,
I'm asking historically. Are we saying that if Hitler did not invade other countries, then we would have allowed him to continue the Holocaust, to conduct we would never have judged him for the Holocaust?
uh, we wouldn't have. I think back in World War II, if he wasn't invading as many countries as possible, if it wasn't for his uh, extremely offensive war policy, he countries back then wouldn't have acted as they had acted. They would have probably allowed him to conduct a Holocaust.
So what we're saying is, hey, Aviator, how are you? So what we're saying is that so North Korea, so Kim Jong Un, he learned the lesson of Hitler, and he's just gonna not do anything to rock the boat. So he can abuse his people as much as he wants. We're not going to do anything about it, so long as he doesn't come at us, as long as he doesn't start attacking us. If he comes to attack us, then we're going to have no choice and we're going to have to go in and take him out. So we don't care that he is a ruthless dictator, starving tens of millions of his citizens. Children and babies are being starved by this fat slob. And no one is doing anything, and no one is going to ever do anything. So
That's just the sad truth of global politics.
so obviously humanity is hopeless. Obviously humanity is hopeless.
I wouldn't say so.
Look, everyone is taking notes. They see that this guy lives like a king, ruthlessly repressing his people. So that's actually very, I like that. I might do that too. And if I do that, apparently no one is going to stop me. So, hey, I'm gonna get to it. So everyone is taking notes and they're saying, oh, interesting. So I don't need to have a democracy and elections and all that nonsense. I can be a dictator for life, and my children and grandchildren, great-grandchildren are going to be dictators for life. Hey, that's kind of convenient. So every country is going to devolve into North Korea one by one. Why not? Any leader that's going to have half a chance, right? So a leader or a political party. I mean, that's what Hitler did, right? Hitler was voted in, and as soon as he was voted in, he canceled the elections. That's what Kim Jong Il, the grandfather, did. As soon as he was voted in, he canceled the elections. And that's actually what the Hamas did in Gaza. As soon as they were voted in, they canceled the elections. And that's what the Palestinian Authority in Israel did. As soon as they got voted in, they canceled the elections. Hey, it's very convenient. So, and no one is doing anything. And the same in Iran. There are no elections in Iran. But they never had elections to begin with. They have
select a president that's a reformist.
yeah, but that's only if the supreme leader, the supreme leader selects the candidates. There's no who are the candidates. It's only people that he selects. So it's up to the supreme leader. And the supreme leader is not elected. He is the Ayatollah or something. He is a non-elected, non-democratic position. And I heard that these people pocket a lot of money. So it's all about money. The Hamas leadership, from what I understand, also have a lot of money in the bank. And Yasser Arafat, when he was the leader of the PLO and then the Palestinian Authority, he put billions in the bank. He was very wealthy. So why have elections? That's like the dumbest thing in the world. Anyway,
Do you have anything you want to? Never mind. I'll think of something to debate.
okay.
Do you think everyone should be able to vote?
No, I think that a good model for democracy is a private company. So a private company has shareholders. So the shareholders can vote based of the share that they hold in the company, the share of the stocks. So one person might hold 51%, and therefore single-handedly he decides all the votes. That's fine. So you can, as much equity as you have in the company, that's the power of the vote that you have. That makes the most sense. And a country should be managed as privately as possible, just like a private company. There's no reason why a company.
How would you do that?
How would you do that? So you would.
How do you apply the same logic to the model of a country? How would you realistically do that?
So let's say you want to create a new country. So you purchase land. So let's say you go to the Sahara Desert or some desert, and you go to some government and you tell them, okay, we want to buy a piece of land from you, and we're going to create our own country, our own government. We're going to be independent. Let's make a contract. We're going to pay you some fixed price. Here is like $1 billion for a small piece of land in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the desert. Okay. And then you create a private company, and that's it. And from this point on, you have a constitution. So every company has a constitution. I mean, the name, the legal framework, there's parallel words for a constitution. So every firm has, let me check the wording for this. What is the parallel to the constitution in a company? What is the parallel company? The parallel to a constitution in a company is the company's constitution, also known as the Articles of Association or Corporate Charter. Okay, it's called a corporate charter. So every company has what's known as a corporate charter, which is, it's a document that defines legally the company. So I guess when you create a company, you write this charter. Let me look up just the corporate charter by itself. Search. And look, just like the Constitution says, basically, I mean, the Constitution doesn't say how the people vote. The Constitution just says that the states will appoint elect the electorate, the electors, the board, which is like a board, which is like a board of whatever. It's like a board in a company. Let me see if we have Wikipedia for this thing. No wiki for corporate charter. Let me do wiki. Anyway, but you can certainly imagine that you're not creating a country. Imagine that you're creating a company, a private company. Imagine that you're just
Mhm.
creating a private company, and this private company it purchases a piece of land, and you manage it like any other company. I mean, look at Apple. No one person owns Apple. I don't think there is a majority shareholder to Apple. There's like many stakeholders, and they vote by their share. The more share you have, the more votes you get. And then usually these shareholders, they vote for a board. A board is just a bunch of people. That's like the Senate or something, or the Congress. And then they elect, then the board finds and hires a CEO. And a CEO, that's just an employee. A CEO, people think a CEO is part of the management, but it's not. CEO is the first employee. So the shareholders don't work and the board doesn't work. The CEO is the guy that works. Mhm.
No, that's the founder. The CEO is part of the management.
Not necessarily. It could be,
No,
but
no, no. You see people founding a company and then
yeah,
they
yeah,
immediately hire a CEO because they cannot manage it, but they're still the founder. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. But it's not. I mean, look, there's the chair of the board. Usually the guy that founds a company, so he is the chair of the board and he is the CEO. He takes on both jobs, but really, I don't think he should. I don't think it's healthy. Certainly, when a company grows, you want the separation of the board, they strategize, and the CEO implements. You don't want the CEO to strategize on his own. You want him to just run the company. He's just the executive. He just
Yeah.
executes. So you don't want him to think too much. You just want him to do. He has so the board, they strategize. The chair of the board, I guess I don't know what he does. He just runs.
Well,
He's not. Mhm.
I think the CEO strategizes more than the board. The board kind of like they always look for future ideas and like future endeavors, but
Sure.
they
Okay, but look, it doesn't matter. I mean, there's no one size fits all. I mean, usually that's the way corporations are built. They have a board, they have shareholders, they have CEOs and other executives, and then other employees. That's usually how corporations are built. But it's not by necessity. It's just, that's like most firms, that's what they look like. But you could come up with your own architecture for the design of your firm. You can do whatever you want, but let's go now to a private country. So let's say you want to have a private country. So you just like you would put together a new company, right? So you have an idea. Instead of instead of my company, it's going to be like some AI. Like you can come up with a new idea for a new AI, and okay, you write a business plan, and then you go and you get investors and then whatever, But instead of the idea of a new AI company, let's say you say, okay, my new idea, my new startup, it's going to be a new country. And there's people that have done this. So the business plan is going to be for a new country. And the business plan is going to say your strategy. Well, what do you plan to do and how you intend to make money for the investors in this new country? So this country, it's going to maybe purchase land, or maybe it's going to purchase a very big boat, or maybe it's going to build a space station, or maybe it's going to build a moon station or a Mars station or a multi-generational spaceship. I mean, or a piece of land in the desert, or whatever. Who knows? So, but okay. So you're gonna, let's say, the business plan is that we're gonna go buy a piece of land, and we're gonna put a fence around it, and we're gonna buy machine guns and radars and private security companies. We're going to bring them in. We're going to pay them to secure the premises, and then we're going to bring in normal people, and they're going to be able to buy plots of land, and they're going to be able to invest and build skyscrapers for residential and skyscrapers for offices and shopping centers and private roads and private bridges. We're going to let the people from anywhere come in and invest and and live there, but we're going to manage it privately. So there's no one person, one vote, but rather you can buy shares in the company to vote. It's a private company.
Mhm.
And this company / country can be traded in Wall Street, or, in whatever, NASDAQ, I don't know, one of these markets. So, right, could be
You're
publicly.
talking about like the Banana Republic.
No, we're talking about a company / country that
Yeah,
is.
the Banana Republic.
What is that?
Is that what it's called?
I don't know. Like,
Okay, let's call it that. It's a good name.
No, it doesn't. You don't have to have one name. I mean, there. I saw YouTube videos of such, at least one company like that. Let me find it for you. It's a private country, and people have done this.
I don't want to
The-
sound like a Marxist, but like capitalism led to the exploitation of like two countries where they basically made a company that ran everything in that country, and they called it like a Banana Republic.
I don't know.
Your
Wait.
thoughts?
Wait, what did you say?
So I'll read the Wikipedia article or entry. So in 1904, okay, an American author named O. Henry coined the term Banana Republic to describe Guatemala and Honduras, who, under economic exploitation by U.S. corporations such as the United Fruit Company, led to a society of extremely stratified social classes, and a ruling class plutocracy composed of business, political, and military elites.
Wait, could you post the link in the side chat?
Oh yeah. That is true. Banana Republic is an American upscale clothing and accessories retailer owned by The Gap.
Why does sometimes a link not preview well?
Because it could be a scamming.
What?
The link could be a scam link, a phishing link.
It's
No,
literally
it's a
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia link. When I
Um,
reposted it, once I reposted, so we can see the preview. In political science, a term banana. Okay, but that's a term. No, 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 no. I'm saying you can create
It was
a.
also a thing. It was like they literally owned Honduras and Guatemala. I don't know too
Own
much about it, but this is
Here,
where
I'll show
like
you. Here's a YouTube video of a private country. It's a tiny country. Let me see if there's not just that, there's open source constitutions and there's open source the entire paperwork to run countries. There's open source projects to run countries. And not just that, there's actually private consultant firms that they would give you consult how to build your private country. They will tell you here's a constitution you could use, and here is the constitution for each state, and here is the constitution for each town, and so on. So they can give you all the paperwork. Seven 3.5 giga Chad. What? Giga Chad Preet? What is 7 3.5? So you're 7 foot 3.5 inches? My identity is one with the cosmos. I am the living dichotomy. PNR verified. Wow. Anyway, I mean, there's an economics professor. His name is David Friedman. We discussed him before. So he discusses this, and his son actually was involved in it.
That guy who does podcasts.
No. David Friedman.
Oh, okay.
So David Friedman. Oh, here it is. This is pretty good. So copy. He's the son of Milton Friedman. And his son actually was, I don't know where he got, but he was in the process of buying a barge, not a barge, but a rig, an oil rig. These people, usually when people want to build a private company, a private country, they start from oil rigs. Because like an oil rig, you could be in the middle of the ocean and no one is going to bother you. Because as long as you're, like, if you buy a piece of the Sahara, then you're inside somebody else's country. And the fear is that as soon as you, like, if that government is destabilized, they might come after you. Or, right? Anyway, it's a little less convenient. So they like converting oil rigs into private countries. So David Friedman's son, let's see if there's anything about him. No.
what you could do there if you're an expat. Probably nothing.
I don't think you have to be
Whatever.
I don't think you have to be an expat to start a country. I don't think you have to
No, by
be.
definition, yes, because you come from a different country. That's
But
what
I
it
don't
is.
think,
The-
I mean, in order to become a real country, you need to actually contact the U. You don't have to contact the UN. I mean, the UN, I think, is a private organization. You don't have to. You don't have to be a member, a sitting member in the UN. You don't have to be voted in by the UN. You can just declare you're a new country. The problem is, how are you going to defend yourself? I mean, you need to buy weapons because people will just come to, you know, to kill you and steal your stuff. How are you going to protect yourself? So if you are,
With
if you're,
guns.
guns are not going to be enough. I mean, some
Like a military.
yeah, you need a military and you need like sort of advanced
What about the
weapons.
question is why come that hasn't happened? Like I remember in the game Black Ops 2, they have like a floating island run by millionaire or billionaires. Like why don't we have something like that? Well, we have to
Mm,
buy, but
So-
that's interesting.
So the problem is that you're going to have to defend yourself. You're going to need a military. You need a private military. Where are you going to get a private military? You actually need not just guns, you need like more than just guns. Because some government is going to come and invade you, take you over, steal your barge, kill everybody, take your stuff, especially if you're very successful. So why not? So as long as you fly the flag of whatever government you belong to. So if you're an American, I think you can just fly the American flag and automatically you get the protection of the US Navy. Well, congratulations, no one is going to touch you. But then the rule of law must be the US Constitution. So you have to abide by US law and so on. So you're just like any other merchant ship, merchant boat, and so on. I mean, you have to abide by the laws. And let's say you don't want to, you want to be free, you want to be a free person. So then you cannot fly anyone's flag. Without a flag, so you're in danger. So really what you need to do,
there's
Hold
some
on.
mic distortion.
what?
You sound distorted.
I sound distorted?
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
that's
I don't
not
think
good.
so.
Oh, 1 second.
Sounds fine.
Oh, okay.
Can you like
Wait.
check?
Well, I'm gonna count to 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1 second. Let me just say hello to Javier. Javier, why don't you join us? There is a link to join the Discord. Why don't you join us at Discord? Anyway, so what I discovered is that before you can create your own private country, you first need to create your own private security firm, but like basically a private military. So first you need to create a private military. In order to create a private military, you need to create your own weapons because the US is not going to sell you weapons. The US is not, I don't know if the US will sell you an F-16. I just don't know. I mean, if you have F-16s with bombs and guns, I don't know if the government will sell you because the US doesn't sell F-16s to just anyone. You have to be part of NATO or an ally. So you could say to the US, I'm an ally, sell me an F-16 is an old plane. It's like it's not that expensive. It's probably like you can get one probably for I think $15 million.
$1,000.
What?
Yeah, around that.
What?
Like a used one, like an old one.
Right. I mean, an old F-16 should
Yeah.
be great to defend yourself against any attack from any government. So you can buy, yeah, I mean, but I don't know if the US will sell you an F-16. Anyway, but I think it's doable, but I don't know. I don't,
You can
maybe
buy it from a third party.
I doubt it. I doubt you can just buy an F-16. I know that the F-35 has a kill switch that every day you need to get a new code to start an
Oh,
F-35.
sure.
So I don't know if an F-16 has a kill switch on it. I think like once a month you need to code or something. Anyway, look, I don't know. It could be that there is already private countries floating on the ocean, but they're just, they don't want to attract attention. So it's like billionaires. Billionaires don't want to attract attention. Let me see. Let's search Google for private countries. Are there private countries? List of micronations. Model countries.
Are you guys talking about how countries are formed or how to create a country?
A private
say?
country. Yeah. How to create a
A
private
private
country.
country.
Yeah.
What's a private country?
It's a country. It's not one person, one vote. It's not owned by the population like most countries. It's owned
Oh,
by the investors or by the shareholders. So you buy
wow. That's
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. So
Like corporations.
it's a corporation, yeah. It's a corporation / country. Yeah. So
That's an
micronation,
interesting concept.
yeah. I mean, it's an old idea. It's not a new idea. So it says here,
How do you think
micronations.
countries are formed?
How do I think countries are formed?
Traditionally, yeah.
I think traditionally, like countries, basically after the British Empire. I think they evolved just
Right.
naturally, just because of the natural events. So a lot of the countries were just British colonies that Britain gave them independence. They just allowed all these countries to gain independence. So before there was nothing, and then there was something. I mean, the U.S. fought for its independence. Some
Right.
colonies fought for independence. Some didn't. Some just received the independence. Some fought, and then the British gave up. But I think a lot of it is just the British Empire when it shrunk. From its remnants, we get a lot of the countries, but I don't know.
Right.
But
Right. Oh, sorry. Uh, a lot of what a country is like. Is I think countries are made from like it depends on who inhabits or settles in a certain region of land, area of land per se, and who colonized that land later on, possibly, and also the resources and the landscape of the land and area mass of area. I mean, land mass that is in question. So I think that's how countries are made.
I didn't
Like
understand your theory. You have a theory
like
how? Hmm.
America is named after Amerigo Vespucci,
Hmm.
who was an Italian cartographer. I
Hmm.
think, yeah, like an Italian cartographer who mapped the North and South Americas, right?
Okay.
North and South America are
Okay.
named after Amerigo Vespucci.
Hmm.
Um, Canada, well, that's like a I live in Canada, so
Hmm.
that's like I think that's an indigenous name for settlement.
Hmm.
Um, United States of America is well, of course, Amerigo Vespucci is it's named after the Italian cartographer Amerigo Vespucci, of course, and all these countries we see, I think are probably are named after the certain kinds of people there with
Mhm.
certain ethnic background, with diverse ethnic backgrounds, diverse languages, with with a diverse set of resources. At like, I
What's your
think
what's your theory? I mean, you have a theory, you have an explanation
right,
how countries come into existence?
yeah,
Yeah?
yeah.
Then why
Okay.
did the natives? Why the natives? Yeah.
Why the
Oh, pardon,
natives?
sir. Then I think for Canada, like it's named after like something regarding uh, uh, like
But
terminology used
my
by
question,
the f-
I'm not. No, no, hold on. we're not asking how do
right,
names.
sorry,
We're not asking how do names of countries come about. We're asking
right, right,
how do countries come into
right,
existence?
right. Countries coming into existence probably for it's named after not just the name, but the countries come into existence for the reason of like hmm, well, countries expand, right? Like it used to be like America and Canada used to be very small compared to what
Mhm.
it is now, and then they used like certain m- means and e- efforts to expand from what is it, east to west? Yes,
Right. Okay.
from
I
the east
mean,
coast to the west coast.
look, but we were
Right,
discussing how to create a private country.
right, right,
Anyway, but let me go back ex Caracalla. So we were discussing in the beginning the virtue of debate. What's your opinion on
right,
that now?
I mean, it's part of the dialectic. It serves a purpose in some would say like a cathartic effect. But ultimately, there are some debates which are very questionable in terms of what they reach or if they reach any goal. But I guess if you believe in some sort of, well, some people would call Hegel like maybe not like a theist or atheist, but what I'm trying to say is if you
Hmm.
believe in some sort of higher power, maybe there is a purpose to the debate and it's to reach some sort of cathartic end.
right.
But the question is, how do you feel, ex Caracalla, about debating? Did you change your mind about the virtue of
I don't like
debating?
debating. I
Why
don't
not?
like debating.
Why
It's
not?
just terrible. It's just
Okay.
yeah.
Why? Why would you say that?
Because again, I think you need to know how to debate, to, like sell yourself, but you also need to see through debate. One second.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I had
Yeah.
COVID.
Wow.
Yeah,
Impressive.
not
Mm-hmm.
COVID anymore. It's the flu now, but I passed it on to my
Mm.
mom, and she got COVID.
Wow.
Uh,
So,
but
how
in
do
terms
you feel about debating?
ultimately, I think it's a skill everyone has to learn. Because yeah, you need to be able to
Why?
debate things, and some things you may
Why?
not even agree with.
Why?
Well, think of our system of law.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you like it or not, it's mostly based on rhetoric. You can have all the evidence in the world, but you could prove prove it either way if you give a strong case.
Prove it either way if you make a strong case.
Yeah, that's what a good debater is supposed to do, right?
Wait, do you feel? Did you change? I mean, do you? If I offer you to debate now, would you accept it?
I wouldn't be very good at it.
No, I don't.
And I'm hesitant to agree, but I will agree. I will agree to debate.
Okay, let's debate the virtue of debate. Let's meta debate. So
We had a discussion on it though. I feel
good.
like if you have a discussion, you don't need a debate. Like the dialectic has been like drawn out and then
Well,
like if you keep doing it, it's just senseless.
well, there you go. So you're debating very well. See, you're already pushing back. So you're doing very well.
Thank you.
I think debating is the most important, one of the most important thing a person can do with his time. I think that if you want to pursue truth, then your best tool to do the job is a debate. Now, your debating partner might be an asshole, but then he wouldn't be useful either way. But if he's not an asshole, then using the tools of a debate would make for a more productive conversation. How do you feel about that?
Mm, well, I suppose if they're in a debate and they're just kind of stuck in their ways, I guess you can try and shift them out of it. And you might not be able to change their mind, but at least you learn something from it and you go forward. But even then, like, if it feels like you're talking to like a brick wall, I don't
Mhm.
think there's like anything to do there. It's just one person believes in one thing, one person believes the other, and it's all for show at that point.
No.
Like,
So
yeah,
one thing I think is important in a debate is to do it alone. Like if the other guy, so sometimes the other guy, he's going to start performing for the audience. So many times I feel that a better debate is one on one, alone in a private room. If the other guy doesn't know how to concentrate and not be a clown, like a performative clown.
I guess.
So
I'm also quite
yeah,
new to the debate circles, so
okay.
it's very interesting, like what sort of thing. Like if I were to say something like elsewhere, it would come off as intelligent. If I said it here, it's like, oh, we've heard this before. Um,
Yeah, I mean
that's
Discord.
what often.
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead.
Discord is where all the most intelligent people on the planet gather. They're very intelligent, but they don't know. Most of them don't know science. They're not. I haven't found anyone who knows
You know,
astrophysics.
do you know Sully? The
The name
Land of
does
Sully, I think.
not ring a bell.
Oh, yeah, he was in the conversation with Blonde, and they got into like the many worlds hypothesis. And the more they talked, the more I went, I know nothing about this. I'm gonna let them speak and I'm gonna learn.
Yeah,
And
I don't
it
like.
was
Yeah, quantum physics is terrible. So quantum physics leads people to really terrible ideas because, I mean, Einstein hated quantum physics and he had good reasons to hate quantum physics. He knew exactly how much is going to destroy science. Science has been severely damaged by quantum physics, by quantum mechanics. Yeah, it led science astray. Yeah. So yeah, I would not, I mean, the only way I would get into a conversation about the many worlds interpretation is to oppose that position, that proposition. I
I
would
get what you're
be,
saying.
yeah, I hate the many worlds interpretation. I actually hate, the quantum, the, what do you call it, the particle wave duality. That is utter nonsense. That makes no sense at all. Schrodinger's cat obviously makes no sense. That's utter nonsense. So everything about, everything they teach in quantum physics is senseless. So they say. I don't even need to argue. I mean, they say it makes no sense. So I don't need, I just need, they admit it makes no sense. So if it makes no sense, why are you teaching it? They say, oh, it makes no sense, but it makes very good predictions. Okay, so that's fine, but don't teach an explanation that makes no sense. So tell me, okay, this, use this equation to make this prediction, and we have no idea why it works. That's fine. But as soon as you start explaining and the explanation makes no sense, then stop. If you're admitting that your explanation, your theory, your model makes no sense, then just stop. Then you don't have a
Have you heard
theory
of,
yet. What?
there's some things which I think are very stupid in philosophy, but if you apply them to like a schema, they shed light on how things might work or how they appear. I think that kind of applies to quantum physics. That may not be exactly what goes on, but thinking about Schrodinger's cat can shed light on like how we think how reality works. I remember meeting this guy. He was very smart. He was a master's student, I think, or he might have been in his PhD. But he said, "What if two wise trees meet in the forest, and they both come from like say one comes from China and one from Europe, and their
Mhm.
world is so drastically different. They view things differently. They have different like idols. They have different ways of communicating. The only thing that would keep these two, like say they're traders,
Mhm.
from tearing each other apart is to think, okay, maybe our worlds are more similar than they are different. And as stupid as it sounds, it's entirely possible that the reality you view might not be the same as someone else's, despite very close similarities, until you guys both reach a consensus. And then that's
No,
when you guys both go, okay, they're that.
no,
And
no,
then,
no,
yeah,
no. So I feel that is completely detached from reality. That's like
maybe.
a children's tale of how people communicate. No. So the way to bring peace to the world is through capitalism and money. Money creates peace. Freedom to trade creates peace. Freedom creates peace. So if I have coconuts and you have fish, then we trade, because I don't want to just eat coconuts and you don't want to just eat fish. We both want to have a variety in our diets. So we trade coconuts for fish and we are both happier. And now we've become interdependent. Now we're good friends because we trade. So trading creates friendships. You see people, they work at McDonald's, and you go to
They're
a
doing the work of
stranger.
like 10 men.
What?
They were doing the work of like 10 people.
Fine, but let's say you go to McDonald's. You go up to a complete stranger that you've never seen in your life and you'll never see him again. And you give him money and he makes you a quick burger that is delicious and nutritious. That's like a miracle. That's a
But
miracle.
haven't the prices gone up?
Fine.
Like in
It's
terms of
still
like free trade, like don't you want to keep costs down and be able to give like food allocated to like the lowest cost possible and all that? There are like difficulties in achieving that goal sometimes in capitalism because I feel capitalism is like innately greedy. And if it's like too expensive to like ship our food surplus to a place that needs it, like Africa, we're not going to do it. You know, we'd rather just say sort it out yourselves.
so um if you are so in the beginning of our conversation, I asked you, I put you alone on an island. You're stranded on an island, and you can work to, to make food, to find coconuts, to pick coconuts, and to hunt fish, and take care of your lodge, your hut, your tent. So you can work, and then you can sit and eat and rest and sleep. So you can split your days into work hours and leisure hours. So let's say you discovered that if you work 4 hours every day, that gives you plenty and you're happy. And you could work 5 hours a day and get more fish and more coconut and build a bigger hut and have, and start maybe growing chickens. But you would have to work 5 hours a day to have a higher quality of life. But you could work 3 hours a day and have a lower quality of life. But you've come to the conclusion that if you work 4 hours a day, it brings you to an optimal quality of life. That you found your optimum, you found your optimal way of life. Do you understand so far? Or are you confused by what I told you thus far?
So you're saying like free trade helps you
No.
find the optimal way of living life?
No, you're alone. First, you got stranded on an island all alone. So you're all alone on an island, and
I
through
get what you're
time,
saying. So ultimately, you yourself dictate purpose in your own life, which dictates like how you live life, which means
you.
how
But
does this relate to free trade?
no,
Like
there's no.
everyone optimally lives the same way, and then they can all trade freely, and then
No. We're not.
they
Let's say you're all alone. You're alone, stranded on an island, and on this island, you can spend your days either working or in leisure. Working includes getting food, fixing your
but you
tent.
have to work,
You don't have to. You can
and you
be,
starve.
yeah, you're gonna starve, or you're gonna only have maybe coconuts. Let's say you can just have pick coconuts, but even that's work. So I mean, even that's 1 minute of work. So if you don't work at all, yeah, you'll starve to death, and you're not gonna have water either. So you're gonna die, and you're not gonna have shelter. So you're gonna freeze in the nights. So yeah. So it's up to you. You can die. You can be stranded on the island and die on the first day, or you can spend a couple of hours every day taking care of your needs, and then the rest of the hours you can rest. You can sit and write your
Pondering.
ponder, or write a fiction novel, or maybe there is a bunch of books that you found, philosophy books and math books and history, and when you can sit and read, but that's leisure. So you can split your day in two. some of the time you are working productively, and the rest of the time you're resting unproductively, right? So if you, let's say you discover that 4 hours a day, if you work 4 hours a day, it gives you a quality of life that you're happy with. And you discover that if you work 5 hours a day, it gives you an even higher quality of life. But you don't feel like working 5 hours a day for a higher quality of life because you don't want to work so much. You want to sit and read your amazing books. I mean, these are really amazing books. So you want to rest. So you don't want to work 5 hours. You don't care. It's not like you have to show off. There's no one to show off to. It's just you yourself. That's it. So
This sounds like a mental kingdom, and you gave me a lot to talk about or to think about. Like I would talk about it, but we've been talking for like more than an hour now. So
exactly
I'm gonna go.
2 hours and 5 minutes. Yeah, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all your time. I mean, it was really amazing.
It's nice talking to you. Again, like I said, you gave me a lot to think about because that just I don't know what you said just seemed very like it hit the nail on the head for what I was thinking of doing like with my life. And I'm like, oh yeah, like how many hours do I want to work like in my life, or how many hours do I want to sleep? How many hours do I want to do this? So yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anyway, I'll see you around.
Bye.
All right. Take it easy. Bye. We are done. 2 hours and 6 minutes. Oh my God. We covered a lot of material. So everyone listening to this is now so much wiser. Everyone is now the wiser. And we have so many messages. My God. So who do we have? We have the Emperor of Masculinity, or Dhruva Maharaja, says, "Hey, how is it going, Mr. Slave? And do you know me? Not too familiar with Hegel. I am Tarif. I don't remember Tarif. Honestly, I don't remember you. Nice to finally meet you. Okay, nice to finally meet you too. So, thank you, sir. I saw your debates with Alex playing with fire and KRW. Who's KRW? Funny as hell. Who is KRW Wilson? Oh, Kevin Ray Wilder. Oh my God, is he still alive? It was fun. I told him up to the point that Alex went full retard. Yeah. Haha. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share. Yeah, everybody, don't forget to subscribe, like, share. And he says, one more subscriber from me. Okay. And I said, thanks. And could there be a gradient instead of a duality with certain phenomena? I said, I don't know. What is a duality? Fair enough. Two sides of something, usually opposites. I don't know, I told him. And I told him, join us and discuss it. And he says, I will later have to pick up my mom from work. Okay, drive safely. And then we have Jelk Nicholson. Hi, Mr. Slay. No messages. Okay. I got a question for you. What would be the best age limit for gun ownership? Oh, so I didn't respond to that. I'm pro children having guns because I used to be abused as a child. So I think it would have been better if at at a very young age I had a gun so that my father would not have abused me. And I would have been able to tell him, see you later, man. I'm out of here. and he wouldn't be able to chase me because when I ran away, he used to chase me. So, yeah. So as soon as a child can have a gun, if he wants a gun, we should give him a gun. He should buy it. I mean, a child should be able to get a job. If a child wants a gun, he should be able to go get a job, make money, and buy a gun. Unfortunately, we abuse our children in our societies. We don't let them work. We don't let them buy guns. We let them get abused, especially if they're little girls. I mean, they're hopeless. And that is society. Congratulations. Jug says, stop body shaming Kim Jong-un. He's got hormone imbalance. I don't know. I don't think because the rest of his society, everybody's super thin and he's super fat. So I don't think he has any hormone imbalance. He just overeats while starving his nation. And Indian Pinayat's eater's career is over. Kisma says, hello, Monsieur Slave. Mr. Slava, I am Javier. Hi, Javier. Okay, Javier. Anyway, that's it, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow or next time. Have a great rest of your life. Bye-bye.